Prime-time local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
And now some exciting news about a new playground here in Lloydminster. The anticipated Aurora Playground and Splash Pad has received additional funding. The $50,000 comes from Lloydminster and District Co-op through the Co-op Community Spaces program. Midwest Family Connections is excited for this opportunity in the Aurora neighborhood.
So Midwest Family Connections is stewarding the grant, which means that we're receiving the grant, and then the City of Lloydminster is the partner that will actually operationalize the development of the park and will actually maintain the park as well. Midwest Family Connections, through our Lloydminster Early Years Family Resource Center, will be delivering programming on site once the park is in place as well.
This is the first playground in Lloydminster fully designed to be inclusive to all people.
This neighborhood will have the first all-inclusive playground area, so we're going to remove barriers for everybody in the city and our community and region. It's going to start right away. So on Wednesday, the company's coming in. We're doing a site walk, and then the equipment is ordered. So we will start breaking ground in the end of August, and hopefully have all of the structures and everything in, all surfacing in by the end of September. And it will be up and running for spring 2024.
For more information, you can head over to lloydminster.ca/Aurora. Now, the Lloydminster Concerned Citizens for Senior Care Society held their annual general meeting, which discussed a number of topics, including the need for more space on both sides of the border.
Job one is long-term spaces. We need a big increase in long-term spaces. We're short 60 spaces right now. We're short 150 spaces over the next 10 years, so we got to get moving on that. And of course, we've had indications from the governments that the next major project would be replacing Jubilee Home. So we're looking at trying to make that a 100-bed, 100 spaces project that would give us a net increase of 50. And then again, we'll have to start addressing Alberta side and getting more spaces on the Alberta side.
Now, medical sharing is another project that the Society has been working on with both governments. Graham Brown stated that having to deal with both the Alberta and Saskatchewan governments can be challenging at times, but having a strong group in the city helps get these issues solved faster.
The governments have been working on it, but getting that solution, and now they're promising us that it's a matter of getting the regulations between both Alberta and Saskatchewan to allow that, and they've promised that they would have that done by this fall. Of course, then we had a change in government, so hopefully we can still move forward with that project and get that done by this fall. With the border situation and having to work with two governments, it really takes a strong local group to keep bringing these concerns to both governments so they can try and find a solution. It's not the same solution as it is in the rest of the province.
At the end of the meeting, they had a memoriam for two of their board members that passed away.
We recognized Betty Christensen being on our group since day one, Len Pryor shortly after that. That goes back to 2005 era. And they've passed away, and they were both board members when they passed away. So the contributions that they made were very, very significant.
The Society is taking a summer recess and will resume their regular meetings on September 12th. The Society is open for all community members to join. And now it's time for our weekly look back in time in this week's edition of Retrospect. We start this week's edition of Retrospect in 1994 as the Meadow Lake Tribal Council signed a health agreement with the Saskatchewan government.
It's being called a one-of-a-kind signing, an agreement between First Nations people and the Saskatchewan government. The province and the Meadow Lake Tribal Council have signed a memorandum of understanding, giving natives an active role in the provincial healthcare system.
It allows for a way for First Nations people without prejudicing their objectives to participate in health reform and achieve the goal of better health for their people.
The Native group will now be able to sit on the province's district health boards. They will also be able to access services previously only provided to off-reserve Natives. But all of this brings up the question of whether or not they're endangering their federal treaty rights, something the chief considered and dismissed.
We have to work together. And this whole idea of saying, well, let's pay this, you pay this, and I pay this, okay, let's take that stand, but let's talk about which areas we can pay together and help develop.
Chief Gladue says the agreement will benefit his people, and the minister says it will also be good for the whole province.
The provincial government and the peoples of Saskatchewan stand to benefit a great deal from the participation of First Nations people because they can teach us about community participation and community development.
Today's signing was just the first step down a difficult path towards complete understanding. But both groups hope it'll set a precedent and allow other First Nations people to follow their lead towards these kinds of partnerships in the future.
And moving forward now to 1998, ADM works to reduce their plant's odor in the border city.
ADM is spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to upgrade its current facility. New, technically superior equipment will be installed to help reduce the odor emissions, which have long been an issue in the community.
We've said since we've taken this facility over in the early 90s that, we want to become part of the community. To do that, we have to be good neighbors, and so sometimes some of these things we do that might not be considered money making at the time, but they're things that we're required to be those good neighbors with, our neighbors to the east, and that's why we do those things.
Wednesday night, close to 40 people attended an open house to air some of their concerns and discuss the impending changes. Plant officials were on hand to personally answer questions and unveil the improvements, including new, high-efficiency packing for the wet scrubbing tower.
It has more surface area than the packing we have now. With that, in conjunction with the increased recirculation rates in our scrubbing columns, we feel that we should have a better chance of reducing our odorous emissions from those particular scrubbers and then, of course, the stacks that they emit through.
And that is good news for local residents. For years, the smell has led many to believe that the emissions could pose a threat to their health. But according to Radiant International, that's not the case. The private firm was hired by ADM to conduct a health assessment of the plant.
Odor levels can be very different than the toxicity levels, and a lot of the chemicals that are emitted, the sulfur-containing chemicals, you can smell them at a much lower level than what they're toxic. So while there are odor issues, this does not necessarily mean there's a toxicity issue.
Air samples were collected from the 5 major sources of emissions at the plant, and although 71 chemicals were detected in the air, all of the concentration levels were less than required to meet air quality guidelines. Woodminster residents can rest assured. The smell may not be pleasant, but it certainly isn't a danger.
And that's it for another look back at this week in retrospect.
Retrospect this week is brought to you by Webb's Ford. Worth your while to drive the extra mile. Webb's Ford in Vermilion.
Now, smoke from wildfires burning in Alberta and in neighboring British Columbia is bringing poor air quality back to millions of Albertans. Smoke from the wildfires is impacting Edmonton and us here in Lloydminster yet again. Much of Alberta is under a special air quality statement. Right now, the Air Quality Health Index is sitting at a 7, which is considered high risk, and the smoke from the fires may be a factor all week long. And now it's time for us to check in with Abby St. John for your first look at weather.
Thanks so much, Jace. And just to reiterate, yes, that special air quality, it is quite high, so definitely be cautious if you are going outside. But we also have an extreme heat warning as well from the very warm and humid temperatures that we have been experiencing today, so definitely keep that in mind. We are currently sitting at 26 degrees here in Lloydminster. A mix of sun and cloud. It's mostly been kind of muggy, and with the smoke coming in, we haven't really been seeing too much of sun but or clear skies, but it is quite warm and quite humid out today. And then taking a look, same across Alberta, very high temperatures, 28 in Vermilion, Vegreville, and out in Edmonton and down in Provost, 29 in Wainwright, 25 in Marwayne, 27 in Bonnyville and St. Paul, 23 in Cold Lake and in Lac La Biche. So those temperatures are pretty high in the high 20s. On the Saskatchewan side, same thing, very warm temperatures, very high 20s, 23 up in Isle Cross, 26 in Pearson, Green Lake and St. Walburg, 25 out in Meadow Lake, 28 in Maidstone and North Battleford, and 27 out in Macklin. Now we're experiencing those smoky skies and that extreme heat warning, so definitely keep that in mind if you're going out this evening, whether it to be the park or just out for a walk. Definitely keep that in mind that the air quality isn't the greatest and it is very warm outside, so take precaution, drink lots of water, wear sunscreen, all that fun stuff for the summer. Overnight tonight in North Battleford, it will just drop to 13 degrees, so it'll be a very warm evening tonight in North Battleford. But there will be cloudy skies as the evening goes on, so a little bit of mix of clear and cloudy skies as the evening progresses, but it will drop to 13, so it won't be too bad, but it will still be quite warm. And then tomorrow it will go back up to 30 degrees in North Battleford, so it will be very warm, and there will be a mix of sun and cloud throughout the day, and hopefully clear skies and less smoky skies is what we want to see for sure. In Cold Lake, it will be 15 degrees tonight, so another warm night tonight, and it will be quite clear, but there will be increasing clouds throughout the evening, so it won't be clear for the whole night. And then tomorrow will go up to 29 degrees, so another scorcher of a day, mix of sun and cloud throughout that. And then of course it will probably be a little bit more of smoky day as well. And then in Lloydminster overnight, it will be 14 degrees, partially cloudy skies, but it will still be a quite warm evening out tonight, and it will probably be a little bit more on the humid side as well. But then tomorrow we are up to 29 degrees, so it will be another very hot day, and I wouldn't be surprised if that extreme heat warning continues on through the next couple of days as well. So definitely keep that in mind and definitely check those alerts and those warnings for those. But then it will be a nice breezy afternoon as well. And then over the next 3 days, like I said, a high of 29 tomorrow and a low of 16. So it'll be a warm evening tomorrow as well. And then on Wednesday, hopefully we get some rain. There's a 55% chance of an occasional morning rain, and it will be a high of 25 and a low of 11. And then on Thursday, a 67% chance of some precipitation, which hopefully that happens. It'll be more on the windier and cooler side, and it will drop to 16 degrees for your daytime high. So we go from the high 20s to the mid-teens, which is fine, especially after all this heat. And then it'll be a low of 9. So that Thursday will be more on the cooler end, and hopefully we will see some rain. But that's all the weather I have for right now. I will have more later on.
Awesome. Thank you, Abby. After the break, we'll have more on the calls for social services to cover utilities for those on social assistance in Saskatchewan. Cattle prices have been high throughout 2023 and don't look to be lowering anytime soon. With more in this week's Cattle Report, here's Thomas Wildman.
It's time now to look at the market report for the week of June 9th here at Northern Livestock Sales in Lloydminster. Total on offer was 1,260 animals. Taking a look at slaughter cattle first, we've got young cows were a range of 160 to 180. D1 to D2 cows were a range of 140 to 162. D3 cows were a range of 100 to 112. And mature bulls were a range of 150 to 175. And now taking a look at feeder cattle, steers from 800 pounds to 900 pounds, or a range of 275 to 315, 700 pounds to 800 pounds, a range of 300 to 330, 600 pounds to 700 pounds, or a range of 325 to 350, 500 to 600, or a range of 340 to 360, and 400 to 500, or a range of 360 to 395. Then looking at feeder heifers, 800 pounders to 900 pounders, were a range of 255 to 275, 700 pounders to 800 pounders, a range of 265 to 295, 600 pounds to 700 pounds, a range of 285 to 305, and 500 pounds to 600 pounds, a range of 390 to 320, and 400 pounders to 500 pounders, a range of 300 to 340. And so that's going to do it for this week's Cattle Report. For Primetime Local News, I'm Thomas Wildman.
Joining us today on Primetime Local News is Amber Lachaume. Amber is with Habitat for Humanity, the VP of Sustainability and Impact. Amber, thank you for joining me today.
Well, thank you, Stacey. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, we have some very exciting news to talk about today. The Habitat for Humanity program has been around for many, many years, so most people know about it. But as of now, there are 2 homes available in Lloydminster and 1 in Vermilion. So let's talk about how people could qualify to possibly live in, well, we'll specifically speak about the Lloydminster homes, but how do people qualify for those homes?
Yeah, Habitat is very unique in that it's an affordable home ownership program. And most people, although they might be aware of Habitat, they might not be aware that this is home ownership and that it is a affordable way for families and individuals to get into the home ownership market at an affordable rate. And so families that qualify are Canadian citizens or permanent residents that generally make between 45, have a household income of 45 to $75,000 a year, and there's a little bit of flex room on both sides of that. They need to have a willingness and an ability to volunteer 500 hours in the community and the ability to qualify for a mortgage. Now, what makes Habitat's program affordable is that it's actually 2 mortgages on the home. One is for 50% of the home is through our lending partner at below market rate interest, and the other 50% is held by Habitat for 20 years at 0%. And so without needing a down payment, the family only has to qualify based on 50% of the market value of the home. And so it makes it possible for families in the income bracket to qualify for a mortgage.
Now, normally, or not, I guess a lot of cases, people are actually building the home that they're going to live in, but these houses already exist. So when they have to put in the community time or the sweat equity, would that be then within another Habitat project, or can it be for another charitable organization?
It would be for another charitable organization or another organization in the community. Because we don't have as much build activity in Lloydminster, our homeowner services department will work with the qualified family to find ways that they can make meaningful contributions in the community at large. And this can be done through a number of ways. It might be done ways that people are already volunteering, coaching their kids' soccer team, or volunteering at their children's school. We are just looking for that commitment back to community service. And so we work with the families to find a way that's realistic and reasonable for them to contribute those hours.
So if there is a family or several families, I guess, that are interested in applying for these homes, how do they go about doing that? And is there a deadline for the Lloydminster homes?
There isn't a deadline. It's basically open until we find the right families for these homes, and that's for all of our homes that become available on the market. We suggest the first place for people to go if they're interested in learning more and making an initial application is to visit our website at hfh.org, and that they'll be able to see the listing of the homes available, all the information, photos of homes that are on the market right now, and they can do the first step in applying to become homeowners.
This is such a rewarding program because you know it's a lot of times it's people who just don't ever think they would be in a position to be in a home, but obviously because these homes are already built, you've had tenants that have been in there, made themselves financially better, and have been able to move on. So is that the goal, that you get somebody in one of these houses and then they try to improve themselves to a place where they then move on to the next stage of their life?
Absolutely. It's very unique in that these are buyback homes. And so Habitat for Humanity Edmonton makes a commitment to the families that when they're ready to move on and take the equity that they've built through home ownership onto new life goals, be it a home on the open market or funding their children's college education, we buy the home back from them. We refurbish it, and then it goes to still serve a new family. And so that way, the homes that we're building are serving for many generations and for many, many years and are staying in the affordable housing pool.
Well, Amber, once again, just before I let you go here, can you repeat how people can get information on these homes in Lloydminster and Vermilion?
Absolutely. We would just encourage them to visit hfh.org, and most of all the information is there. And if they have further questions, then they'll be able to find contact information to reach out and learn more.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Amber.
Thank you, Stacy. It's been a pleasure.
Furniture set and design supplied by Furniture Gallery, downtown Lloydminster.
Kimberly Steyer from the Olive Tree is joining us here today on Primetime Local News. And we're going to be talking about a competition in Lloydminster here that is very well received. Kimberly, first of all, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, the sidewalk competition, sidewalk chalk competition is coming up here again in just over a week or so. And this is something that I know kids in the city really enjoy. It's a chance for them to show their creativity in a unique way. So first of all, when is the contest starting and what is the end date on it?
We are so excited. The 2023 chalk competition is launching this Saturday, the same day as Downtown Street Fest and our pancake breakfast. And it is going to go until next Friday. And then our prize winners will be announced on Saturday, June 17th.
Okay, and how do kids enter? And is there any limitations as to what they should be drawing, or is it just free to draw whatever they like?
There's really not a lot of limitations. We're just asking for kids to go outside, enjoy some fresh air, put their creativity to use. And children's age 6 to 12 can join in the fun anytime during the week, have their parents snap a picture of it and upload those pictures to our Facebook event page. If you can't find the event page, you could also tag us on Instagram or Facebook, and we'll make sure it gets in the right place. And make certain that your kid has created a title for their beautiful masterpiece, and just let us know what their name is and the title and the picture, and you'll be entered to win.
And with that, there are some great prizes, and also you have the prizes because you have some great sponsors. So let's talk about the prizes and the sponsors, Kimberly.
We are so thankful to have Real Country 95.9 and Walking on Water sponsor this year's 2023 chalk competition. Real Country 95.9 has graciously sponsored a bike for one of the winners, and Walking on Water has donated some fun prize packs of toys for some of the winners as well.
Well, this is a great event, and I know that there are a number of kids that take part every year. So, Kimberly, if anybody is looking for more information in regards to either what the prizes are or how they can enter, what is the best way to find all of that information?
Well, we are really active on social media, so you can actually check either Instagram or Facebook page. The links are also in our bio on Instagram, and our Facebook event page is where the main photos will be shared. And so those links are found all over our pages. If you have any questions, you can feel free to send us a message. It'll probably be me messaging you back.
And one more question. You said that the event is judged on the 17th. Do you have a panel of judges or just one judge, or how does that work, Kimberly?
We will have some special guest judges to be announced on the 17th, and then we will announce it on social media.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, and good luck with the competition. I'm sure you're going to get to see some amazing work of art by the children in Lloydminster. So thanks again for chatting with us.
Thank you for having us.
Taking a final look at your 7-day forecast, we have a high of 29 and a low of 16 for tomorrow with a mix of sun and cloud, a little bit breezy in the afternoon, and we'll probably still have that extreme heat warning, so definitely keep track of that. And then on Wednesday and Thursday, there's a chance of some rain in the morning to afternoon with a high of 25 on Wednesday and a high of 16 on Thursday, so things will cool off on there. And then on Friday, it will be a high of 22, 21 on Saturday, 22 on Sunday, and then we cool back off on Monday with a high of 19.
Great. Thank you so much for that, Abby, and thank you all for joining us on this edition of Primetime Local News. Thank you for starting your week with us. We'll see you back here again tomorrow. Have a great night.